Welcome back to my channel, Learning English Level 3. In today's video, we're going to dive into the real-life story of one of the most iconic monarchs in history, Queen Victoria. Her journey is full of inspiration, challenges, and valuable lessons that will motivate you to keep pushing forward in your own life. This video will not only teach you about Queen Victoria's fascinating life, but will also help improve your English fluency. As we go through her story, you'll learn new vocabulary, improve your listening skills, and discover how English can help you understand historical stories better. Before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support means a lot, and it helps me create more amazing content for you. So hit that subscribe button and let's get started. Chapter 1. A Royal Beginning. Queen Victoria's birth was a moment of great importance to the royal family, but her family's status didn't guarantee that she would one day become queen. In fact, her family was considered a branch of the royal lineage, and it was unclear whether they would ever be in line for the throne. Victoria's father, Prince Edward, though a prince himself, was not next in line to inherit the crown, as his brothers, George IV and William IV, held greater claims. Despite the uncertainty of her future, Victoria's childhood was filled with royal privileges, even if it was a somewhat isolated upbringing. Raised in the strict care of her mother, Princess Victoria of Saxe-Coburg-Saalfeld, she was kept away from many royal events and social circles. This environment, which some historians describe as oppressive, actually shaped her into a strong, disciplined young woman. She had little opportunity for friendship or play outside of her royal duties, which often left her feeling lonely. But she found solace in her education and the company of her animals, often retreating into her personal world of reading and painting. As Victoria grew older, she began to understand the weight of her royal blood and the potential she held. Her early education under the watchful eye of her mother and governess was intense. She was taught languages, music, history, and the responsibilities that came with royal life. It was clear that she had the intellectual ability to rule, even if she wasn't fully aware of it at that time. She also demonstrated an interest in politics, and though she couldn't act on it as a young girl, it was evident that she had the makings of a future monarch. When King William IV died, the crown passed to Victoria, making her the first woman to take the throne since the reign of Queen Anne nearly a century earlier. Her rise to power would forever change the course of British history. At just 18 years old, she had inherited an empire and the responsibilities of a monarch. But what truly made her reign unique was her determination to maintain control of her destiny. She was thrust into a sea of political intrigue and family politics, but instead of shying away, she faced these challenges head-on. Fun fact: did you know Queen Victoria had a pet Pomeranian dog named Marco? She was so fond of him that she had him painted into some of her royal portraits. Animals played a big part in her life, providing comfort during stressful times. Chapter 2. Becoming Queen at 18. At the age of 18, Victoria was thrust into a political maelstrom. She was both young and inexperienced, yet she was determined to prove that a woman could rule just as effectively as a man. Her first challenge came in the form of Sir John Conroy, her mother's closest advisor, who tried to control her decisions. Conroy believed he could influence the young queen and had been working behind the scenes to undermine her authority. Victoria quickly recognized this and refused to let him control her. She took immediate action, dismissing Conroy from her service and beginning to assert her independence. Her determination to lead with strength and resolve earned her respect from many, but there were also those who doubted her ability to rule. Lord Melbourne, the Prime Minister at the time, became her most trusted advisor, helping her understand the intricacies of governance. Despite his advice and guidance, Victoria made it clear that she was not going to be simply a figurehead. She sought to engage with her ministers and insisted on making decisions herself, even when they were difficult or unpopular. Her relationship with Lord Melbourne was complex. While he was a mentor to her, helping her navigate the complex political environment, Victoria also began to form her own opinions about how the country should be governed. She learned that being queen meant making difficult decisions and sometimes even going against the advice of those closest to her. The early days of her reign were filled with tension, but they also set the stage for the kind of monarch she would become. She wasn't going to be a passive ruler. She was going to lead her nation with purpose. Her ascent to the throne also marked the beginning of a new chapter in British history. As the first female monarch in a century, her reign brought about significant changes, especially in the role of women in governance. Although women were rarely seen as political leaders in the 19th century, Victoria's strong leadership set a precedent for future generations of women in power. Her early years showed that a young woman could handle the immense responsibility of the crown, dispelling the notion that women were ill-suited for positions of leadership. Fun fact: Queen Victoria was an avid writer and kept a detailed diary throughout her life. In fact, she wrote over 141 volumes of diaries, capturing her thoughts and the events of her reign in rich detail. She even wrote in the secret code to keep her private reflections safe from prying eyes. Chapter 3: A challenging early reign. Victoria's reign was marked by significant social and political changes. The Industrial Revolution was transforming Britain, shifting the focus of the economy from agriculture to industry. Factories, railways, and new technologies were reshaping society, and with it came the rise of the working class. Workers began to demand better conditions, and political movements like Chartism emerged, calling for universal suffrage and workers' rights. Victoria, though queen, was not immune to the pressures of a changing world. One of the first challenges Victoria faced was how to balance the power of the monarchy with the rising influence of Parliament. As the monarchy was becoming less politically active, Parliament and the Prime Ministers were gaining more control. The question of how much power Victoria should have as monarch was debated by many. She had always believed that the monarch should play an active role in governance, but the growing power of Parliament made this increasingly difficult. Victoria found herself at odds with the social reforms that were sweeping the country. While she supported the idea of a more compassionate society, she was also deeply conservative and believed in the traditional roles of the monarchy. This conflict was evident in her attitude toward charitable reform movements and the growing calls for more rights for the working class. Her conservative views were at times in direct contrast with the reformers in Parliament. Yet over time she began to understand that the monarchy must evolve to meet the needs of a modern society. Fun fact: Queen Victoria was known for her strict morality and believed in modesty. She disliked excessive displays of wealth and would often be critical of opulent court fashion. In fact, she wore a simple black dress throughout much of her mourning period after Prince Albert's death. Chapter 4: The Love Story of Victoria and Prince Albert. Victoria's relationship with Prince Albert of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha was one of the most influential aspects of her reign. Their relationship was not simply one of love. It was also a partnership that shaped both their personal and political lives. Albert, a German prince, was initially seen as an outsider, but his intelligence, integrity, and strong work ethic won Victoria's heart. They first met in 1836, when Victoria was just 17 years old. Albert was a cousin of hers, and their shared background in European royalty helped them form a bond. Their engagement in 1839 was not just a romantic decision but also a political one. Victoria believed that Albert could help her in her role as queen, and Albert was eager to support her in any way he could. He was not only her husband but also her most trusted advisor. Victoria admired his intellect and often turned to him for advice on matters of state. Their marriage was a true partnership, one that lasted for over 2 decades and produced 9 children. Theirs was a relationship built on mutual respect, trust, and shared goals for both their family and the empire. Prince Albert's influence on Victoria was profound. He played an active role in many aspects of the British government, from supporting various cultural movements to advising Victoria on matters of politics. Albert helped modernize the monarchy, bringing a sense of stability and progress to the royal family. He also championed education, science, and art, believing that the monarchy had a duty to encourage progress and intellectual development. Together, they made the royal family more involved in the public life of Britain, something that was unusual at the time. Their children, whom they raised together, would also become important figures in European history, marrying into various royal families across the continent. Their union not only strengthened the monarchy but also helped create a legacy of royal connections across Europe. Victoria and Albert's love story became a symbol of loyalty, dedication, and the importance of partnership. Fun fact: Queen Victoria and Prince Albert's love was so strong that they had a special private room at Windsor Castle, where they would retreat for personal moments. They also had a collection of love letters that they wrote to each other, showcasing their deep affection. Chapter 5: The Loss of Prince Albert. In 1861, tragedy struck Victoria and the British royal family. Prince Albert, her beloved husband, passed away suddenly at the age of 42. The cause of his death was largely attributed to a long battle with illness, particularly a persistent fever. Victoria was devastated by his death, and the grief she experienced was profound. For the rest of her life, she would mourn Albert's loss, wearing black and retreating from public life. Her mourning was not just personal. It became a public statement of her dedication to Albert and the love they shared. For many, it was difficult to see their queen so withdrawn and melancholic, as she became a symbol of royal mourning for the British people. During this period, Queen Victoria withdrew from many of her royal duties, relying more heavily on her advisors to manage the state. She retreated to her private homes, especially Osborne House, where she spent much of her time reflecting on her memories with Albert. Despite her grief, Queen Victoria did not abdicate her duties as monarch. She continued to reign over the British Empire, though her leadership style became more distant. Her mourning became a form of public identification with her subjects, many of whom were also experiencing personal loss due to the various crises of the time, including wars and the ongoing industrial upheaval. Victoria's mourning symbolized her connection to the people and her ability to share in their sorrow, showing that even a queen could be deeply affected by personal loss. Fun fact: after Albert's death, Queen Victoria became so deeply affected that she kept his clothes and personal items around her, refusing to let them be touched. She also had a lock of his hair kept in a locket that she wore for the rest of her life. Chapter 6. The longest reign in history. By the time Queen Victoria died in 1901, she had ruled for an astonishing 63 years, making her the longest reigning monarch in British history until Queen Elizabeth II surpassed her in 2015. Her reign had seen immense changes in both Britain and the world. The British Empire, under her leadership, expanded to its greatest territorial extent, touching nearly every corner of the globe. The British Raj in India, the opening of Africa, and the dominance of British trade routes were all products of Victoria's empire building. Queen Victoria's leadership during this period was marked by her strong sense of duty and her ability to adapt to the rapidly changing world around her. Technological advancements such as the railroad, the telegraph, and photography revolutionized communication and commerce. Victoria herself embraced these changes, becoming an early supporter of modern technology. She understood that Britain's success relied on its ability to innovate, and she was keen on ensuring the monarchy remained a symbol of progress and stability. As her reign continued, Victoria became more of a symbol of British unity and resilience. Her image was used in propaganda and on coins, and she was regarded as the figurehead of the Victorian era, an era that embodied both progress and conservatism. Despite the changing tides of politics and society, Queen Victoria maintained the stability of the monarchy and solidified her position as one of the most respected monarchs in history. Fun fact: Queen Victoria loved to write in her diaries, and she wrote over 141 volumes of them throughout her life. She described daily events and her personal feelings in great detail. It's said that her diaries are one of the richest sources of historical insight into the mind of a monarch during the 19th century. Chapter 7. The Legacy of Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria's legacy is one of both monumental historical significance and personal triumph. Under her reign, the British Empire grew to be the largest empire the world had ever seen, controlling vast territories across Africa, Asia, and the Pacific. Victoria became synonymous with the notion of British imperialism, and her era saw the expansion of British influence to new global heights. Her reign saw Britain become a leading global power in terms of trade, military strength, and diplomacy. However, Queen Victoria's impact was not solely defined by imperial expansion. During her time on the throne, she oversaw major societal reforms that changed the course of British history. The Industrial Revolution reshaped economies and societies, creating new opportunities and challenges. Victoria's reign was marked by economic prosperity for Britain, but also by a growing awareness of social injustices. The period witnessed the rise of political movements advocating for workers' rights, the expansion of education, and the eventual rise of the Labour Party, which would challenge traditional conservative views on class and governance. Victoria was also pivotal in shaping the future of the British monarchy itself. Her belief in the monarchy as a moral anchor for the nation influenced future generations. She and Prince Albert instilled a sense of duty and responsibility in their children, many of whom married into various European royal families. This created strong ties across the continent, and Victoria became known as the Grandmother of Europe because of her large family, whose members played important roles in European diplomacy. As Victoria's reign progressed, she witnessed the changing role of women in society. Though she held traditional views about gender roles, her own reign demonstrated that women could exert significant power and influence. Her role as queen set a precedent for future female leaders and showed that even in a patriarchal society, a woman could rule with strength and resilience. In the later years of her reign, Victoria became more symbolic, embodying the values of duty, family, and moral authority. Though her influence in the day-to-day governance of Britain was less direct due to the political realities of the time, her reputation as a monarch of stability remained strong. She is remembered not only for her political and imperial achievements but also for her moral leadership during a time of great social transformation. Fun fact: Queen Victoria had 9 children, and many of them went on to marry into various European royal families, earning her the nickname Grandmother of Europe. Her descendants include Prince Philip, the husband of Queen Elizabeth II, and many other European monarchs. Chapter 8: Queen Victoria's Death. Queen Victoria passed away on January 22, 1901, at the age of 81. Her death marked the end of an era, the Victorian era, and it was met with widespread mourning across the globe. Her reign had spanned over 6 decades, and during that time, Britain had undergone radical changes in almost every facet of society. When she died, the world seemed to pause as people reflected on the great queen who had overseen such a transformative period in history. Victoria's funeral was an elaborate affair, reflecting the immense respect and admiration she had earned. It was attended by heads of state from around the world, including her own children and grandchildren, who were married into numerous European royal families. The funeral procession was one of the largest seen in Britain, and it symbolized the end of not only her reign but the long-standing influence of the British monarchy as a whole. The immediate succession was marked by her son, King Edward VII, who succeeded her as the monarch. His reign ushered in a new era, the Edwardian era, which was marked by both continuity and change. Edward VI's reign saw the decline of the British Empire's global dominance, but it also laid the groundwork for the social and political shifts of the 20th century. Despite her death, Queen Victoria's legacy lived on through her children and the empire she helped shape. The monarchy continued to be an important institution in Britain, and her role as a symbol of national unity remained in the hearts of many. The values she espoused, duty, devotion to family, and moral leadership, continued to be important ideals for both the British royal family and the people of the empire. Victoria's death marked the end of the Victorian era, but her influence continued to echo through the 20th century. The world that she had known was quickly changing, and the empire she had ruled was beginning to unravel. But her reign had left an indelible mark on history, and her legacy as a ruler who bridged the gap between an old, traditional monarchy and a rapidly changing world would forever define her place in the annals of history. Her death also marked a turning point for Britain, signaling the end of the Victorian values that had governed the nation for much of the 19th century. Despite this, Queen Victoria remained a figure of strength and resilience, and her story would inspire generations to come. Her death may have ended the chapter of one monarch's reign, but her influence was still felt throughout the world for many years after. In the decades following her passing, historians and scholars would look back on the Victorian era as one of the most influential periods in British history, thanks largely to the lasting impact of Queen Victoria's reign. Fun fact: Queen Victoria's funeral was attended by over 1,000 guests from across the world, and it was one of the most extravagant state funerals of its time. Her coffin was draped in the royal standard, and her funeral procession stretched for miles, symbolizing the end of an era. The lesson of Queen Victoria's story. Queen Victoria's life and reign offer profound lessons in resilience, leadership, and personal growth. Her journey shows that the path to greatness is not always smooth, and sometimes life's unexpected challenges can lead to the most rewarding successes. Resilience in the face of adversity. One of the most powerful lessons we can take from Queen Victoria's life is the importance of resilience. Throughout her reign, Victoria faced significant challenges. Her early years as an isolated and sheltered princess, the sudden loss of her beloved husband, Prince Albert, and the shifting political landscape that threatened the monarchy's power. Yet, despite these struggles, Victoria never gave up. She showed us that even when life is difficult and the world seems against us, it is our strength and determination that will see us through. Queen Victoria's ability to adapt to each challenge, especially after Albert's death, is a reminder that even in our darkest moments, there is the potential for growth and recovery. The power of independent leadership. Victoria became queen at just 18 years old, in a time when the role of a woman in politics was often questioned. Despite her youth and lack of experience, she displayed immense courage and independence. She didn't allow others, like Sir John Conroy, who tried to manipulate her early on, to dictate the course of her reign. Victoria showed that a strong leader is not afraid to make tough decisions, even when others may doubt their abilities. She demonstrated the importance of staying true to your values, even when the world might not expect you to. Her independence also teaches us that leadership is not about titles but about the ability to make decisions that benefit others, no matter the pressure or uncertainty we face. The importance of family and partnership. Queen Victoria's relationship with Prince Albert is one of the most beautiful aspects of her life. Their marriage was based on mutual respect, shared values, and an unwavering commitment to each other. Prince Albert was not just her husband, but her closest advisor and partner in all things. Their teamwork helped Victoria lead Britain through times of political and social upheaval. Their partnership reminds us of the power of collaboration and support. Whether in personal relationships or professional endeavors, the importance of having a trusted partner who supports you cannot be overstated. Victoria and Albert showed that true strength comes from having someone by your side who believes in you and shares your vision. Adapting to change. Throughout her reign, Victoria lived through monumental changes. From the Industrial Revolution to shifts in social and political structures, she had to navigate a rapidly evolving world. Her willingness to embrace change, particularly with advances in technology and industry, played a crucial role in Britain's success during the Victorian era. Her embrace of photography, the railway system, and industrialization demonstrated that progress should not be feared but embraced. This teaches us that adaptability is essential in leadership. The ability to understand and accept change, and to evolve with it, is crucial for success in any era. The importance of duty and responsibility. Queen Victoria's reign was marked by a strong sense of duty and moral responsibility. She was deeply committed to her role as monarch and took her responsibilities seriously, even when personal loss and political challenges weighed heavily on her. Despite personal grief over Prince Albert's death, she continued to serve her nation with dedication. Her unwavering commitment to her role teaches us that true leadership involves responsibility, even when times are tough. She showed that leadership is not just about personal success or comfort but about serving others and fulfilling the responsibilities entrusted to us. Understanding the power of legacy. Queen Victoria's legacy is one that continues to influence the world long after her passing. She didn't just leave behind a vast empire. She shaped the modern understanding of monarchy and leadership. Her role as the grandmother of Europe, and her children's marriages into European royal families, meant her influence extended far beyond Britain. Her story demonstrates that the impact of one person's life can resonate for generations. The choices we make today, no matter how small they may seem, can leave a lasting legacy. Victoria's life reminds us to think beyond ourselves, as the decisions we make can have ripple effects that outlast our lifetimes. The role of moral leadership. Queen Victoria became a symbol of moral leadership. Throughout her reign, she emphasized the importance of values such as duty, integrity, and family. Her image as a moral figure helped strengthen the monarchy's position, especially in a time of social change. Her commitment to high moral standards also shaped the Victorian era's cultural values. For leaders, whether in business, politics, or personal life, Queen Victoria's example demonstrates the power of leading with integrity and setting an example for others to follow. Leadership is about inspiring others to act with respect, fairness, and dedication to a greater cause. Conclusion. A legacy to remember. The story of Queen Victoria is not just about a monarch who reigned for over 6 decades, but about a woman who navigated personal loss, political struggles, and societal change with strength and dignity. Her life teaches us about resilience in the face of adversity, the importance of leadership and independence, and the power of family and partnership. She reminds us that the challenges we face can become stepping stones for greater achievements if we approach them with determination and a sense of duty. Queen Victoria's life was far from easy, but she showed the world that greatness comes not from avoiding difficulties, but from overcoming them with courage and perseverance. Her story is an inspiration for anyone who seeks to make a difference, no matter how young or how uncertain the future may seem. Through her, we learn that resilience, leadership, and a strong sense of duty can help us build a legacy that lives on for generations. I hope you enjoyed learning about the life of Queen Victoria and the valuable lessons she taught us. If you found this story inspiring, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more amazing stories and English lessons. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Keep learning, keep growing.